He's married to Erin, who's a marketing guru with what do they do?
Architecture firm.
Architecture. And they're getting ready to have their first baby at the beginning of the year, so congratulations to them.
Thank you. Little girl.
So, super exciting. We got lots of kids in the Rebel family now. And then Tony is our kind of resident 401k and pension expert. So he came over to us from an advisor at PNC. I have known him for over a decade. He actually was my 401k wholesaler to John Hancock for a long time. That's how we started our relationship like 12 years ago or what. So, so he's got 2 children, 2 stepchildren, and he's getting ready to sit for his CFP exam in a month or so. So he's been working hard on that. The CFP is Certified Financial Planner. So it's like, yeah, bachelor's, then you got to do like 1.5, 2 years extra work on top of that. So he's been working on that for the last couple of years. So we're excited for him. He's excited to be finished up with that as well too. So without further ado, we'll let Jonathan get started.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
I was going to do introductions, but Phil's already done that, so I'll skip that. You didn't mention our newest team member, though. Phil has a puppy, a lab Dalmatian mix named Allie, so she's what we call our morale manager in the office. It's a nice little wagging tail, come up and lick you, happy to see you. It's a nice break during the day sometimes when she comes around. Just want to give like a breakdown on Rebel this year. It's been a great past year. We're, I think, right over 60 million, I think, in assets at this point. Goal is to be around 100 million by next summer. Aggressive goal, I think we can actually do. We got a lot of good momentum going right now. We doubled in size. You've just heard about Tony and about Zip. So it was me and Phil for a while. We doubled. So we are growing. We had our first 2 interns this past summer, which was awesome. Cool experience. And we're going to plan to do that again. I think we might even bring one in this fall.
Bring one in next week. Yeah.
Probably in the spring, and then we'll probably do 2 more in the summer. And then we'll probably be looking to add maybe 1 or 2 team members, maybe by next summer, maybe like a support financial advisor. So we've got a lot of good momentum going right now. We are growing. So it's an awesome time to be part of Rebel Financial. Let's see. We've been doing a lot of cool stuff this year. We've done a lot of trade shows. We just did the Ohio Dental Association last week. We're going to be doing the Chiropractic Association. I talked to you about that. If you guys are there, please come around and see us. Bring some people over to the booth.
Yeah.
But we'll be there next week at the convention center again. And an awesome thing is you can see all the technology. I mean, obviously, you know Phil. We're going to be doing all the latest and greatest technology, bringing it in, incorporating it into the business. We've been doing live streams on Friday. I know Jordan's going to be doing one here pretty soon. John's done one. Paul's done one. And Greg Aaronstein's up next. Is he tomorrow? So Greg Aaronstein will be on there doing a live stream. We stream it to Facebook. We stream it to YouTube. So if you do get an opportunity tomorrow at 11 a.m., do go to our Facebook page and just watch along and see what that's about, because we might come talk to you guys to see if you're interested in doing it sometime in the future. Golf outing this year was fantastic. It was our 4th annual. Really want to thank all of you guys for your support for that. A lot of you played. A lot of you supported it with advertising, or not advertising, but with
Sponsorships.
Thank you, sponsorship. So we really appreciate that. We had about 70 people. We're going to be looking to do like a 100 to 120 next year, make it even bigger and better. We're doing it the same course again in August, and we'll get you that information out soon. We did our first shooting outing this year with our clients. We went out to Blackwing. We did shotguns. We did sporting clays. It was an awesome time. Had like 12 to 15 people. I really encourage you guys next year. It's May 20th next year to come out and really enjoy that day with us. I don't know if you guys are anti-gun. If you've never shot a gun, it's a really cool time. And then again, like I said, it's a great time to be a part of this company. We are implementing and doing so many cool things. And we just really appreciate your continued support and referrals, if you can give them. Tony, that's all I got, guys.
Good morning. So one of the biggest obstacles we have as financial advisors is getting people to understand that we really could serve a good purpose to them, all right? Especially, really good advisors. There's a lot of bad advisors out there that won't bring any benefit to you and could even set you back. So that's what we do. We really concentrate on doing things the right way and trying to enhance people's financial situations. So I'm going to talk about 2 things. I'm pressed for time. So one is what we do, our 2 of our strengths. One would be our investment services, and the other would be our financial planning. So the key component of our investment services would be mutual funds. So we spend a lot of time trying to find the right mutual funds, okay? And so some of the categories, well, number one, there's over 10,000 mutual funds. Most people don't realize that. We, as an RIA, registered investment advisor, can choose from any of those 10,000 funds, and we really sift through all of them to find the best ones. A lot of advisors that you go to are somewhat limited in who they use because of agreements they've made in the money they make directly from those companies. But the mutual funds are broken up into different categories. Like you might have large U.S. companies. As an example, you might have European bonds, you might have emerging market stocks, okay? So we're trying to make those categories into pieces of the pie like that to find the right mix of those, okay? But I think I'm getting ahead of myself. Because one of the big things we will look at is the cost of the mutual funds. For instance, the average equity fund is about 1.37%, and the ones we use are about 0.5%. All right, we really believe that cost is a huge impact on people's portfolios. Some of the styles that we can distinguish between are active and passive. Those mutual fund managers can be at one extreme. They could be very active in how the companies are buying and selling, and they could have a lot what's called turnover. So they're buying different companies all the time, and that can add a lot of cost. The extreme other side of that is the passive investors, like the S&P 500, for instance, is a benchmark. But that, a lot of funds will own all 500 of those companies, and they won't trade, and those become very expensive, very inexpensive. So we geared towards the passive more, but we do need to use some active at some times. But I'm trying to give you, as these quick few minutes, an idea of how we're actually picking the actual mutual funds, because those are the pieces of the pie that really becomes important. So go ahead to the next slide. So it's not just a matter of picking the right mutual funds. We need to pick the right mix of that pie, so to speak, what was on that last graph. We normally have about 12 mutual funds per portfolio, and they're not 12 equally divided, so we got to find the right percentage of each one. But this is really, as I've said here, it's one of our strengths because of the effort we put into it, the software and the technology that we do to make sure we're picking the right funds. We are statistically driven. We go by historical norms. We don't put any emotion to it from our side. We want to make sure that we're trying to pick the best portfolios from that and the best mutual funds for our clients, okay? Some of the bigger problems we have with individuals and why we could add a lot of benefit is they are not good necessarily at picking funds. They don't necessarily know what to look like. And more importantly, they don't know how to put those pieces together when they're picking a portfolio. And that's really what we do really well. That's one of our strengths. So a lot of it comes from the inexperience. The other part of that is the emotional side. When the markets go down, people tend to get out of the market when they should be getting in, right? It's the opposite of what Warren Buffett would tell you. And then when the markets go up, they jump in at the last minute before it's about to come down again. So we help take that emotion out of it for people. But over a 45-year period, studies have shown that individuals perform 4 to 7% worse than the overall markets. And that's what we're trying to close that gap for people. All right, so next step. So the other side of that, so what we've done this, right, we've built these portfolios for people and we've got good investments, but there's a lot more to it than that. So I would say another major strength we have is the plans that we're building for people. When we're looking at the assets, you don't just go out and say, okay, I'm going to buy a mutual fund. You have to decide what type of account, for instance, you're going to put it in. Am I going to put it in my IRA, a Roth IRA, a traditional IRA? Am I going to do it in a regular taxable account? And then you probably have another half a dozen plus that you could do through your business.